In Battletech, when we explore very, very specialized mechs, an example of this would be the Firestarter. Yes, you could play it as a recon mech. Yes, in City Fight, it's going to be absolutely deadly against infantry, and it could engage and add a little bit of dice to other mechs. But for the Firestarter to really, really shine, we need a specific situation on the tabletop. A lot of heavy woods, places for it to go and move, set fire, basically burn stuff and run. So generally in Battletech, very, very specialized mechs, there's a lot of what-ifs. There's a lot of what-ifs needed to happen. And in order to make those what-ifs happen, it doesn't always work. So maybe competitively you don't want to take them. This mech, the Exterminator, not the Annihilator, the Exterminator, is a very, very specialized mech, but is something very special, something very unique on the tabletop. And in my opinion, the battle value buy-in is very economical, is very good on there. So we have a specialized mech that its job is to headhunt, to engage specific mechs that you need to have destroyed, command structure mechs, targets of opportunity, mission-specific things. You know, if there's a group of 4 missile carriers, LRMs, in the back guarded by something, you send in this Exterminator and you have the ability to deal with it on there. So what makes the mech unique and what gives it the ability, in theory, because you still have to pilot it, you still got to have the mech warrior skills to pull it off. It's not point and click, it's not auto win, but the unique combination that it has really brings some fun to the table. We start off, it's a heavy mech. It's got good speed. It's got good armor. It's got jump capability, and the speed's actually a little bit higher for its class and everything that it packs in. So right away you have something that can get in, can engage. When it gets really, really tough, it's got the jump jets. It's got mobility to get out of there. And again, not that we ever want to take any shots in Battletech, but it's got some armor that it can engage a target even while engaging other targets, focus on the primary target, eliminate it or cripple it, and get out of there on there. So it has that kind of triple threat just on the speed, armor, mobility, ready to go. We have 4 medium lasers. We've got an LRM-10. We've got a small laser in the head on there. And we have an anti-missile system plus a null signature system. So we're getting into some tech here. We're getting into some interesting tech. We're going to have to crack open the technical manuals and see what we can do with this. But the first thing to look at is you have LRM 10 pack. It's not a 15, it's not a 20, but a 10 still has some bite. So on the way into the target, you have the ability to engage with something. Normally, I'd say you could indirect fire also, even if it's not a dedicated missile unit, say like the longbow or the archer. But given that this mech usually acts on its own or with less support, I mean, we never really truly want to act on our own, but with less support, the indirect options are not there as much. I mean, you could, but I'm not going to put that in the checklist. The LRM-10 has the ability to lay down some fire on the way in, on the way out, or discourage pesky light mechs from trying to run up and trying to keep up with you. When you get close, so you've engaged your target, now you have those medium lasers. And medium lasers, based on range, damage, and heat, have the best ratio and the best balance in the game. Look, I'd love 4 PPCs, right? But how am I going to dissipate that even with the double heat sinks that it has? We've got a lot of rare tech in here. You look at this mech and you're like, is this clan tech on here? You know, this is Star League classical stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of them that are there, Lost Tech, but really, really very, very specialized on there. The 4 medium lasers with the heat sinks on there really put out some serious bite. An example would be something similar, the Grasshopper on there. You know, the Grasshopper, if it gets up there, it's got some really, really powerful options with the ability to shoot. You have the redundancy, You've got good damage output. Maybe you soften things up with the LRM-10 on the way in. You switch over to the medium lasers. You've got the small laser for point blank work. I mean, ideally, you'll close and then you'll be under the minimum, so you won't utilize the 10-pack. You switch to the small laser. Did I say medium laser in the head? Small laser in the head. Working that. Better than nothing. Now we get to the anti-missile system. And then we've got to look at the null signature system on there. So the anti-missile system works when you get shot at by missiles, by a spread of missiles. The roll on the cluster table is reduced by 4. And if you get hit by a big boy missile or a one-shot missile on there, it's a dice off 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 50% chance of destroying it. So just this ability of putting out chain gun fire out there with this anti-missile system, tracking incoming missiles and just blasting them away, that is really, really powerful on there. The -4 roll is very, very powerful because remember, your opponent has to hit you first. They've got to make that hit. They've got to hit. Then once they hit, there's going to be a spread based on how they roll. You're going to pull that down. That essentially means that against mechs or targets that have short-range missiles, you're cutting that down. You're potentially removing that short-range punch out on there. And against other mechs that might be supporting with long-range missiles to fire against you, you're projecting this bubble on the arc based on firing. If you're lining them up to fire, you're cutting down their ability to reach you from distance. That's big. You know, that's big on there. Now, yes, in Battletech, I can hit you, I can roll legendary, and crazy stuff happens. You take headshots. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in the game, and that's part of the amazing part of the game. But in terms of cutting that down with the anti-missile system, that's beast on it. Now we have the null signature, and incorporating that, it's going to really depend on the missions and the rule set that you're utilizing. Because in a game where we're just going head-to-head, combat to combat, the mech's already on the table, you're already aware of what it is, it's really not going to have that much of an impact. What it does, it builds heat when it's active on there, but when it's active, it makes it much harder for Beagle and Bulldog probes, active probes, searching for you to find you on the tabletop. So if you're playing with ambush rules, if you're playing with optional city fight rules, or if you're playing with the ability to power down and effectively hide, someone's going to have to get like point blank 1 hex away visually to find you. Think about some of the possibilities. And again, if you're playing with those rules, if you're just kind of playing, put them down on the table and fight it off, nothing wrong with that, then really the tech that you're bringing is the anti-missile system on there. But if you can essentially power down, remain invisible, deploy ahead of time, and then as your opponent moves on the table, if you can anticipate where that target is going to be or where that command structure is going to be, or often in the fact that it is left in the back, because that's the safest place, you're just hanging out. Then you power up and you go to town, you go to work on there. I mean, a very, very fun mech to play. Looks really cool too, in my opinion, and it feels like it wants to be and play in the clans. Definitely a mech to add to your collection and cycle in every now and then and play with it and explore it. And in my mind, this will be, I'm going to make a note for another vlog. Let's do top 5. Let's do top 5, and you guys will give me a preview. Top 5 Inner Sphere Succession era mechs that, or you know, leading up to clans, leading up to clan tech. We'll leave pure clan tech out of it. That you think are very, very unique. The most unique mechs to possibly play in the game, to play in Battletech.